Hey guys, this is Ava Landon, and today's tutorial is on the binding. So what I've done is I've started pinning down the binding along the edges. This is just the extra pieces. I'll get that out of the way. So there you can see where it's all been pinned down. Not very smooth at the moment, but it'll work itself out. Alright, so what we're doing at this point is when you're going to pin all the way around. The other thing I forgot to mention is that you'll see that I started in the middle of one side, and that is very much intentional. Since we're doing mitered corners, you don't want to start this little end, this little flat piece on a corner. So just pick some spot in the middle and then start pinning. You can pin at the very end if you want. It's entirely up to you, but we're actually going to leave those pieces pretty loose because we're going to have to attach them. And the longer they are, the easier it is to manipulate the easier it is to sew the ends together. All right, so when you're just going to pin out everything down, you're going to get to one of the corners. When you get to the corner, what you're going to do is you're going to simply fold the edge up. Do you see how all I did was just pick it up. And then you're going to fold that back down. So what you'll have on the inside is a triangle. And in fact, you kind of want those pieces to be even. So I'm going to kind of play with it a bit to get that triangle even and straight and flat. And then that's pretty much, that's it. You're just going to make sure that you even your raw edges right here. And now we're going to pin that. Keep it pinned right there. And what you'll see is a nice little triangle. And when you go to sew this, what you're going to sew, still not as even as I like, but yeah, just kind of play with it. Get it as even as possible. That's actually a little longer than I'd like to. So yeah, I'm going to adjust this. There we go. Much better. Okay, so when you sew, you're going to use a walking foot if you have one. If not, you can use your regular foot. You're gonna need to be really aware, cautious, because you're gonna have a lot of layers. So you've got these 2 layers to sew through, plus the 3 layers on the quilt. So it can cause things to jumble. So just be real careful if you're not using your walking foot. You're gonna sew along this edge using a 1/4" seam. You'll notice that I didn't cut my batting off yet. Some people cut it off because it's easier to sew. I like to leave it on, that way I don't have to worry about messing up my 1/4" seam because I have plenty of fabric on both sides. I noticed that when I cut it off and maybe it gets fed wrong through my machine. I don't know, I have problems if this side is too short. So I leave it on and sew with it. It doesn't really hurt anything, and then I cut it off at the end when I go to flip this over. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to sew this whole thing down at 1/4 inch. When you get here, since you've already folded all of your pieces, you're going to stop about 1/4 inch away, back stitch, clip the threads, fold this over, and then start again. And you're just going to start at the edge. And that 1/4 inch helps this little flap so that when we turn it over to do the binding, it's not sewed down. Or I'm sorry, it's free to flip over, but you'll sew it up to about 1/4 inch, and that's it. The other thing I could tell you that I just forgot is that when you go to sew this, you need to mark 12 inches from here to the end. So really that's about 1 foot. So I would start sewing at this little pink needle. There's a blue needle out there too, but I mean that's just to keep everything from getting messed up and floating around. But yeah, so you're gonna leave this edge about 12 inches, and when you go around and pin the whole thing, you're going to stop sewing about 12 inches from the other side. And then I'm going to sew this, and then I'll be back to do another video tutorial on how to attach the end pieces. Oops, sorry. All right, I think that's about it, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.